The glasses are on, so it's album review time. Today we're going to be talking about the new 2012 album, MANALA, by the Finnish band Korpiklaani. Now I remember discovering these guys for the first time back in the middle part of the 2000s. I believe it was either 2004 2005, and just absolutely loving their blend of folk metal. And just absolutely adoring it, because they kind of did it the way in which you kind of would expect it to be done to begin with. And instead of incorporating folk to heavy metal, they incorporated heavy metal into folk. So it's definitely done with a little bit different of a philosophy. Now, a lot of fans of this band, or just a lot of people who are fans of heavy metal music, may have a very polarizing opinion regarding this band, regarding their near album every single year philosophy, claiming that there is a lot of crap out there, but also claiming that there is fantastic material, all really depending on which side of the coin that you fall on. Some people will find this band to be an absolute joke. Well, I'm not laughing at that joke, because I find these guys to be relatively excellent. And yeah, even though there is a definite simulacrum in a lot of their material, there also is no deniability that the material that they put out is damn catchy, it's damn rhythmic, it's all the folk that you could possibly need in a metal record, and that much more. Now with MANALA, they're actually taking on a much darker theme, the darker theme of death and the underworld and things of that variety. So if you're dealing with a theme that is so morbid such as this one, what do you do in order to really drive that point home? Well, you create probably the heaviest album in your discography, while also one that has a lively blend of variety. Now, variety in an album and with a band such as Korpiklaani is not going to be straying too far from the path that you've already forged. However, it's going to be in construction, it's going to be in musical representation, and it's going to be in the way the songs hit you. There is a lot of a mixture of high and low emotion on this record, whether it be something triumphant that is exuded in the steel, whether it's something that is extremely sinister, such as in Predator's Saliva, whether it's dismal, or whether it is any of the other tracks on this release. You're going to get a lot of different varieties on here. One thing I love about this band, and I'm going to be blunt with you, is whenever they kind of slow it down a little bit, whenever they write those songs that seem like they are odes, or some people may use the term ballads. I don't like using the word ballad regarding this band. I find that more to be almost like a traditional ode, or a yoik to a fallen friend, or, you know, an event that took place that is particularly emotional, or damaging, or life-changing, life-altering. And that is something that I find that whenever they slow it down like that, and this was also true with songs like With Trees off of one of their earlier albums, and it's, you know, there's usually one or two on each record that's able to do that. That is where the strength of this band really just pours forth, in the fact that the music itself just awashes you with beauty, and the talent just exudes itself. You have to remember that these guys originally started off all the way back in 1993 as a traditional folk duo. Yeah, it's probably surprising to think that, but that is the reason why that dynamic is often able to come out. That traditional aspect is able to come out, and it is arguably, at least in my opinion, one of my favorite aspects of their discography and of this band. Now, considering this is such a darkened themed album, they also have to increase the heaviness a little bit, and that is something that is actually quite true. If you thought this band was heavy before, you should definitely hear some of the riffs on this album. And one track that I will definitely cite, and I'm going to have to say on the Finnish version, and I'll tell you why in a second, the very last track on the Finnish version, which is absent in the English version, is a damn powerful example of that. This is probably one of the hardest songs that I've ever heard this band put out, and it really just has reminiscence of even a hint, a very slight hint of a doom sound in it that is a la Candlemass. In fact, the first time that I heard the opening to this crushing finale, I thought to myself, wait a second, I feel like I've heard this before. I feel like they're doing a cover. But to my research up to this point, that is not the case. And considering that's not the case, unless I'm wrong, damn. I really, really like what this band is able to do whenever they harbor all of their and channel all of their opinions and emotions and their musical talent into this endeavor. Wow. It was really, really powerful. It was one of those things I stumbled on by mistake. Now, of course, I say Finnish and English versions because there are two different versions. The English version is going to be 11 tracks, whereas the Finnish version is going to be a little bit longer, spanning 13. So there's going to be a bit of a discrepancy, all depending on which of the two you decide to undertake. I first noticed this because in the version I had, which was the English version, I noticed that two songs had a little highlight next to them that said English version. And I thought, and then you listen to them, and you realize they're both instrumental. And I thought to myself, well shit, that kind of sucks. Does this mean that the lyrics are on the Finnish version? So I pop over the Finnish version, and no, that's actually not the case at all. They're just instrumental tracks. I don't know, call it a tag error, whatever. But the Finnish version ultimately is superior because not only is it in the band's native tongue, but it is also the longer version of the album that contains that final track that I just spoke about that is so excellent, and overall you just get the full nature of the experience. I gotta say, this is a band with this album that took me by surprise a little bit. I expected to listen to this album and kind of feel the same way I've felt about their subsequent releases since about 2007. Where I enjoy it, I definitely am able to bang my head to it, and definitely have those softer moments where I just kind of sit in awe of the beauty that they're able to construct. But overall, it's not something that sets my world on fire. It's not something that's going to threaten a top 25 list. Well, MANALA actually has the opportunity. It's going to be kind of a bottom of the top 25 list threat, but damn, I gotta say, I was really impressed, and I really enjoyed this release a lot. I'd have to give it a solid 8.25 to an 8.4 out of 10. Now, the one thing I will say is starting in 2013, I think I'm going to have to employ a little bit of a different numerical structure for the way in which I rate albums. So, I don't know. If I were to do it on a star system, I'd give this a 4 out of 5 stars. That's all you really need to know. Fantastic record. Definitely one of the heaviest I've ever heard from them, if not the heaviest. And also one that curious fans should definitely check out. This is definitely one to investigate, folks. So, go out there and do that. I'll talk to you guys later.